Hi everybody, I'm Ashley and I've decided to pop on here and have a chat to you about what you can do to make yourself feel better when you're having a bit of a rubbish time, whether you're just feeling grumpy on a given day or going through a bit of a miserable phase. I'm hoping that some of the techniques that I use will help you as well. And the first one I want to jump right into is something that my mum would always tell me, and that's to feel grateful for what you have because somebody out there has definitely got it worse than you. Now, that is true, and I do recommend that you do have a look at what you feel grateful for, but these things don't invalidate how you're feeling in this given moment. If you're having a crap day, you're having a crap day, and you can feel that way without feeling guilty for it. The point of this particular thought process is that you're seeing the big picture here and not making it bigger than it needs to be, or rather just keeping things into perspective, that one bad day is just a glitch in many. And that leads me on to my second point, which is to not give too much power to a certain situation or to a person that's made you feel bad. And I say that because you don't have control over what somebody says or does around you, but your reaction to it is the choice that you have, and that's something that nobody can take away from you. You can walk away from that situation. You don't have to react at all if you don't want to. Why I say this is because I think we can often end up thinking about things for a lot of time, feeling very hurt, feeling very grumpy, feeling very angry, and the point is you've already experienced this crap situation once. Why are you allowing yourself to experience it for a whole day, for the next day, for a week, feeling miserable about it? That's not something that you have to do. Draw a line under it and be done with that given situation if that's possible in that moment. You can do action plans how to get out of it, but you don't need to be feeling miserable about it necessarily. That leads me on to my third point, which is very important and something that I am also still learning to do, and that's sharing when you have a problem. Share it with your best friend, your mum, your partner, a trusted colleague perhaps. But do share what's going on, because I promise you, none of us have our shit together 24/7. It's just not the case. Apart from the fact that your friends should hype you up and hopefully maybe give you a perspective on things that you hadn't thought of, or at least empathize with you, they're all really helpful things that you need to hear when you're feeling down. And even if they themselves have not personally experienced these things, they will find a way to cheer you up or just have an open ear for you, to vent, to be angry, and to have somebody hear you out. Something that also helps me, and I'm not just talking about when I've had a bad day, I'm talking about some really awful phases, is that there's no thing that I or you have experienced that somebody else hasn't also experienced at some point in time, remembering that human beings have been around for a very long time. So that might make you feel a little bit better as well, as knowing that you're never alone at any given time, because there's always somebody who's experiencing that as well. That is not necessarily a nice thing that somebody else is going through the same pain as you, but it just means that you're not alone. Then something I want you to focus on in point number 4, just got my notes here, is that you should watch out for what you're consuming throughout the day. A bad habit that I have is to grab my phone first thing in the morning, which I never used to do a few years back, but I do now. And I go on my Instagram feed, or I check my emails before work starts or before I'm even out of my bed. And you don't need to do that. You really just don't need to do that. And if you're having a bad day, or you wake up and you already know, not really feeling myself, don't go on the news and watch that, which 9 times out of 10 is not going to be good news. Don't go on your Instagram feed where every single post is most likely one picture out of 150 that turned out alright, and then you pop on a few filters and you like what you see, so you post it, but that other person that is feeling crap in that moment is not thinking rationally, and they just feel even worse about themselves. So stay off platforms that aren't going to do you any good in that given day. And that leads me on to what you should be consuming. And you could have like a pen and paper next to your bedside table, or a post-it stack, and write yourself a compliment when you get up in the morning. This can be whatever you want it to be, whether it's a physical attribute or a characteristic, or just something encouraging perhaps, or a quote that you really like, or even just something as simple as "you've got this, you're stronger than you think you are." It's something that I really like to have with me in the mornings, and then I'll pop it onto my laptop and I'll be able to glance down on that when I need it. I also write myself a little to-do underneath that one encouraging statement that I have. And I have a lot of to-dos. I'm definitely a lists kind of girl, kind of person, and I like to cross them off. But on a grumpy day, don't overwhelm yourself with a bunch of to-dos. Instead, choose one that you know you can manage and will make you feel better. Even if you procrastinate the whole day, but you manage to get that one thing done, it will make you feel good. That leads me on to an active thing that you can do, which might not be for you, but it works every time for me, and that's cleaning. I firmly believe that a clean space is a clearer mind. So if you are like me and throughout the week you have clothes starting to pile up on your desk chair, and I'm just looking at mine now, go and tidy up. Put some in the laundry, fold some up, put it away, give your room a hoover, clean the surfaces, and you'll feel so much better. And you can do that while you're airing your bedroom as well, especially during the pandemic. Fresh air is never a bad idea, especially if you're in a country where you're on lockdown. And listen to some music while you're doing it. I personally set myself a timer, whether that be 10 minutes or 30, it doesn't really matter. It's never more than 30 minutes for cleaning and tidying. And then I've got that done. And I feel like I can focus then on the things that are bothering me and not have all this visual clutter adding to that stress. And I think sometimes for some people, mess doesn't stress them out, at least not knowingly, but personally I believe subconsciously it does. But give that a go and let me know how you do with that. Then a cliche point is probably the one of exercise. And that is something that has helped me a lot in the last 12 months. More because it's helped me when I'm pissed off or angry. And I go for a run, or I end up on my cycling machine and I just power it out with some music, and I can look as grumpy as I want to be. I don't really care who's looking in that moment. It's just about me and getting out that energy that I can't get out in my room. I'm not going to smash things around me because I'm angry. I want to go out and power it out. So that's one thing I do when I really need to get that excessive energy out in a more positive way. And something that I do when I'm feeling a bit anxious and my mind is going on and on and on is to go for a walk. Definitely go for a walk, and I just walk and listen to my music, or I listen to the sounds of the park around me, and I just try to, be more present in the moment. And I might stop for a second and write something down on my phone in my notes, like a thought, so that I don't forget it and I can come back to it later, which again, doesn't make me have to actively think about it because I've written it down. And that leads me on to something that I also like to do if I'm at home, is to do sort of a spider Venn diagram kind of thing, where I write down headings or subjects that spring to my mind that are bothering me, and then around that I'll write small little points that are attached to that subject that I'm thinking about. Say it's work, what's bothering me about that particular thing? Is it because I've got a lot of to-dos that I'm trying not to forget and it's stressing me out? Write it down. If it's a self-image issue, write down what's bothering you exactly and give yourself something encouraging, and just have it out of your head so you can look at it and not have to think about it all the time. Give that one a go. It doesn't have to make sense, it doesn't have to be beautiful handwriting or anything like that. It just has to be out of your mind, because if you're going to declutter your space the way you do with the cleaning tip that I gave you, then you're going to want to declutter your mind a bit as well. Having said all these things, I do want to say that it is okay to not want to do any of these proactive things that I've mentioned to you before, and simply want a Netflix and chill kind of day, get in your pajamas, whatever it is, you just want to have a self-care day at home, do that. You don't have to do wild exercise and all these other things and drink your smoothies and all your routine things that you would do on your normal day. You can have a day off and stay in your pajamas if you want to. Some of those times are necessary. I personally, and this is a tip that is a little bit obvious, but I still think it's important to mention, try not to reach for alcohol when you're feeling down, because that can spiral a little bit out of control. You're not going to feel better drinking when you're in a bad mental space. And more importantly, you don't want to be attaching, let me have a glass of wine to help me feel better because I'm in a bad mood. You don't want to be attaching those two things to each other, because it becomes a thing. Like, enjoying alcohol, whether you do or you don't, is up to you, but it should be more in connection with something positive than with something negative. Yeah, so try and do that. Grab yourself some crisps, some popcorn or chocolate, whatever suits you, and have yourself a nice evening. From me to you again, don't overindulge, put the packets away again and don't go back for more and refilling your bowls and stuff like that, because binge eating is a thing. It's not fun, been there, done that, and it's not going to make you feel better. So yeah, everything in moderation. Then the last two things I want to come to before sort of closing off this long chat is two more thought processes, one of which does help me and one of which I'm hoping might help you, because I think it's a nice one even though it doesn't really work for me. The one that doesn't really work for me is something I saw on Instagram a few months ago. If this current situation or this feeling that you're feeling is not going to be relevant or important or affect you in 5 years from now, then don't let it affect you for more than 5 minutes in this given moment. And this is sort of similar to what I was saying to not letting a situation have more power than it needs to be. So, have a think about that. Maybe that helps you. One that does help me is that no matter if it's one bad day or a bad phase, is this too shall pass. It's temporary. Whatever you're going through, it will get better. Better times are coming. And that's something that I really like. One other thing that somebody told me years ago, which has stuck to me ever since, is 1 minute spent angry or upset are 60 seconds that you could have spent happy. And I think that's really, really lovely one to end on, to think about, because you have the choice to invest your time how you want to invest it and not feed into the negativity that you're experiencing, and rather try to take small steps towards making yourself feel better. So I really hope that some of these things have helped you, and let me know if you do something a bit different or if you do some of these things already. We can have a little chat in the comments if we feel like it. But thank you very, very much for watching, and I'll definitely speak to you soon. Bye!